Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do, but it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you, when judgment comes for you, tell me what you gonna do, when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you, 'cause it's gonna come for you.
Making it for water, easy, see something Charlie. Little boo God's got him, and I'm gonna miss everybody out of row and flow like eggs. Looked at a wild flag and pray for dust, and they play too deep for being sad. Little legs I got to be. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand, when you can go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven. Follow the Lord all 24/7.
Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on July 28th to SmackDown on August 1st, as well as WWE's SummerSlams Night 1 and 2. We opened Raw with another Hulk Hogan tribute. There hadn't been a Raw since Hulk Hogan passed away, so talked a good bit about that last week, so I won't dive too much into that. But to start the show proper, Jey Uso comes out, but Paul Heyman quickly interrupts before he can say anything. Heyman doesn't think much of Jey, but is smart enough to get out of the ring based on how Jey is looking at him. He also backs up saying, I know you can dive really fast, so he continues to kind of back up away from the ring. Heyman can't believe that Jey has accepted Roman Reigns' offer to team with him against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and he's doing this in the name of family. Where Heyman comes from, family is always going to let you down. That's not a prediction, rather a prophecy. Heyman is asked if Jey's mother said Santa Claus left presents under the tree. Heyman then says that means your mother lied to you, just like everyone's mother here in the arena tonight. He asked, did Rikishi, Jey Uso's father, tell Jey that he wanted him to be more iconic than him? Rikishi lied if he said that. Reigns didn't pick Jey to be next in line as the tribal chief. How did that work out for the family when, obviously what's happened with the bloodline ever since Roman lost the title and all that. Heyman is saying this out of love for Jey, just like family. Yeet! Jey then says his family is why he's here, and Heyman needs to keep their names out of his mouth. The reality is the family has done things together, and Heyman's family is nowhere to be seen. Heyman and the two Bronson and Braun Breaker have cost them all kinds of things, and at SummerSlam, Heyman and his crew will pay. We then get a mixed six-person tag where AJ Styles and the Kabuki Warriors defeat the Judgment Day, represented by Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez, and Dominic Mysterio, when Styles hits a phenomenal forearm on Dom. We then cut to the back, and Sheamus is happy with his win over Rusev last week. Grayson Waller and the New Day come in to interrupt him, with Waller making the mistake of challenging Sheamus, meaning that he has a match with him later tonight. And as you know, Waller's kind of trash talking him, the New Day kind of backtrack and kind of disappear. We then get that match where Sheamus defeats Grayson Waller via pinfall following the Brogue Kick. After the match, Rusev comes down, of course, and beats Sheamus down with a shillelagh, and then he really wrenches in an accolade and leaves Sheamus laying. So he really roughed him up pretty good in that one. We then get a promo from Naomi saying she isn't worried about defending her title in a triple threat match because she can fly as high as the other two can. Heyman then talks to Bronson Reed in the back, saying with Seth Rollins on the shelf, they're a group without a leader. Braun Breaker then comes in and says Reed is going to crush Jey Uso later tonight, and the team will reestablish dominance over WWE over this week and weekend with SummerSlam. Bronson Reed then leaves, and Breaker tells Heyman he has a plan, even though this leaves Paul kind of confused in the grand scheme of things. We then move on to Lyra Valkyria. She comes out to cut a promo. She says she has her Becky Lynch stomping shoes on, and she recaps all the issues she's had with Becky over the last few months. Becky then comes out, or her music hits, then she pops up behind Lyra, who ends up taking her out with a drop kick through the ropes. Valkyria then beats her down with a kendo stick, and Becky Lynch kind of runs off as that starts to happen. So Lyra again ends up with kind of the upper hand. We then go to earlier today where Sami Zayn does a sit-down interview, but instead of getting interviewed by, I think it was Kathy Kelly, Karrion Kross kind of takes her spot, and him and Scarlett kind of chill there. Kross said he could attack Sami Zayn again here, but he didn't because he is all about making people show their true colors. Zayn won't do it though, and it's starting to tick Kross off. That's why after Kross beats him at SummerSlam, Zayn is going to admit that Kross told the truth, and that and then he can go on to become world champion. Zayn agrees, but when he beats Kross, he wants this to end. He says, "See you at SummerSlam," and then Kross smiles as Zayn walks away. We then get Bayley in the back. She's upset that she's going to be missing SummerSlam, just like she missed WrestleMania, and she isn't sure where she needs to go from here in her career. We then get an 8-woman tag where Io Sky, Stephanie Vaquer, Nikki Bella, and Rhea Ripley defeat Naomi, Chelsea Green, Alba Fire, and Piper Niven when Vaquer hits the SVB on Chelsea Green. We then go back to the Judgment Day Clubhouse. Finn Balor gives them a pep talk, telling them that they can get past the loss earlier. Roxanne gives Dominic a new gaming system, which is I think it's the Nintendo Switch 2 is what it was. And he starts to play WWE 2K25 on it. But Raquel seems kind of perturbed that Roxanne is giving Dominic gifts, as it seems like she's trying to get into the favor of Dominic Mysterio and maybe replace Liv. We then get the winning team from the women's tag earlier, but Vaquer and Nikki Bella kind of go away, and Io Sky and Rhea Ripley keep talking to each other. Io Sky says Rhea has never beaten her and never will, and Rhea says that they'll see about that come Saturday or Sunday. We then get the Judgment Day represented by Finn Balor and JD McDonough defeating the LWO when El Grande Americano comes out and trips Cruz del Toro on the top rope, allowing for Finn Balor to hit the coup de grace for them to retain their World Tag Team Championships. We then get Gunther out to cut a promo. He calls last week's exchange with CM Punk a clean victory for him, and he went face-to-face with the best talker in the business. The fans remind Gunther that he tapped out at WrestleMania until Gunther says he left Punk speechless. But Punk comes out, of course, after he says that. Punk says he was more dumbfounded than anything else. He doesn't want to be World Heavyweight Champion, but rather needs it like he needs air in his lungs. Wrestling is his addiction, and he wants to hold the title above his head as a thank you to the fans. Punk is the best in the world, and he's ready to prove that at SummerSlam. This isn't apples to apples, and he puts his hand over the mic when Gunther tries to cut him off. There are levels to this, and Gunther will find out that he is not at Punk's level come SummerSlam. We then get our main event match where Jey Uso defeats Bronson Reed via DQ when Braun Breaker comes out and spears Jey. After the match, they continue to beat him down, and then Roman Reigns comes out to make the save, and they clear the ring. They both load up a spear, but Reed and Breaker actually both knock them down. So they actually, usually when that happens, they both hit the spear, but they actually got knocked down. More beating down happens with Jey getting tsunami'd and Reigns getting clothesline from the apron all the way over to the announce table. Breaker then jumps from the floor to the table to pose as the show kind of goes off. We get back into the ring and another tsunami crushes Reigns as Breaker shouts that everyone here works for him. Breaker spears Reigns and Uso through the barricade, and Reed steals Roman Reigns' shoes to end the show, which will be kind of a funny moment at SummerSlam that I'll talk about shortly. But the 8-woman tag was absolutely incredible. All 8 women brought it, continue to bring it ever since Evolution. I feel like they've just had a continued purpose of just blowing everything they do out of the water. I feel like they've just been really on a roll lately, and continue to just really impress. So I would go with that for my match of Raw. We go to NXT from there. We get another Hogan tribute, as again I say, Hogan had passed away on Thursday, so they hadn't done their tribute yet. So they had all the superstars in the ring. and all that kind of stuff, and did the promo video that they'd been showing the last few shows. We did a really long recap of last week in Houston. It was kind of a big episode of NXT for them. But we opened with Jada Parker defeating Jasmine Nix via pinfall following the Hypnotic. We then get Javon Evans. He runs into High Rise, who don't impress him that much. After that, Evans kind of runs into Chase U with Andre Chase telling the team to go after the big dogs. And Evans is ready, is going to do the same right now. He then comes into the arena. A Hall of Famer told him to go after the biggest dog, so let's do this. Trick Williams then comes out and says the big dog is here. Trick says Javon should watch who he talks to, with Javon bringing up the choke slam from The Undertaker last week. Javon was actually talking about Obafemi, which doesn't mean much to Trick. High Rise then comes out and says Trick is on a different level from Javon right now. Wes Lee doesn't think Javon Evans is making a smart move, and Javon tries fighting all of them off anyways, and they continue to brawl, but Javon gets beaten down pretty quickly as he's outnumbered by a good bit. So he ends up kind of getting beaten down pretty good on that one. Chase U then goes after Hank and Tank, as that's what they thought Mr. Chase meant, but they can't decide if they need to go on 3 or after 3 into their locker room to kind of jump them. This results in a standoff as Hank and Tank kind of come out of the door as they were going to do whatever they were going to do. And Hank and Tank give them a match against them anyways. Andre Chase then comes in and says that's not exactly what he meant to do. But they did get a match out of it. I'm not sure it was a title shot, but they get a match with the champ. So obviously if they win that, they'll be in a higher part of the tag team division. So we then get Tavian Heights defeating Charlie Dempsey via pinfall following a big belly-to-belly suplex. This win allows Tavian Heights to leave the No Quarter Catch crew. We'll see what that ends up being, because the No Quarter Catch crew is pretty much down to Charlie and Ren at this point. So we'll see if they even associate with each other anymore, but we shall see. Santino Morello then comes into the back and sees Trick Williams and High Rise. Santino tells Trick to not get too comfortable with the TNA World title because it is coming home soon. We then get Blake Monroe out for a chat after she goes in on Booker T a little bit because he called her the wrong name the previous week. So she kind of tells him to keep her name out of her mouth unless he's going to get it right. She then moves on to Jordan Grace. Blake has seen protein shakes with more personality than Jordan. And then we show various shots of Grace looking as gym material rather than championship material. So this one was probably pretty controversial for most people. A little bit of fat shaming in here. I don't know if this is exactly the right way to go because, I mean, it's just that's just the wrong thing to do in kind of today's culture. It's not. I don't want to say it's not nice because I think the idea of this is to not be, is to kind of go in on her and make her feel bad about herself or whatever. But I might not have gone as heavy handed as she did in this, but and you know, Jordan Grace back when she was a little bigger was just as beautiful as she is today. So nothing that she showed is anything less than championship material. She was always a good worker. She always killed it in the ring. So. But yeah, it was just a little bit heavy-handed for me, and I could see it probably offending a lot of people. But we go on the other hand, Blake Monroe has seen star power in this division, or she says she has star power and is ready to show it to the division. But Lola Vice comes out. She doesn't understand how Monroe can be so beautiful on the outside but so ugly on the inside. Vice made a moment by dancing with Nikki Bella at Evolution. And Jada Parker then comes out to interrupt Lola. Jada says she doesn't need anyone else to make her into a star. And then Kalani Jordan comes out. Jordan doesn't like Blake Monroe, who challenges her to a match next week. Lola and Jordan then clear the ring of Jada Parker and Blake Monroe to kind of end the segment. We then get Tatum Paxley. She tells Izzy Dame that she wants to challenge Sol Ruca. Dame isn't sure, but the rest of the culling come in to say Paxley is indeed getting a title shot. With the team gone, Luca Crucifino pops up and kind of says no family lasts forever. So kind of warning the culling of kind of what happened to the D'Angelo family. We then get Lash Legend. She's ready to beat up Fallon Henley later tonight and go after the women's championship in JC Jane. We then get that match, but Fallon Henley is able to defeat Lash Legend via pinfall, falling the Famouser after a random attack from Nia Jax, of all people, comes out and attacks Lash Legend. Lash eliminated her from the Battle Royal, so I think that's what they're going for. And then after the match, once Fatal Influence kind of goes away, Jax hits Lash Legend with the Annihilator. So obviously setting up a match with Lash Legend and Nia Jax to maybe put Lash a little bit more over and see what she can kind of do with somebody kind of closer to her size. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think Lash is going to be a big part of the women's title picture going forward here at NXT. So Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura are then in the back. They're having to be held apart. Stax comes in and doesn't think much of Inamura, who he is ready to face next week. And then I think he actually gets decked for saying something to Inamura after that. We then get Javon Evans defeating Wes Lee via pinfall, following a huge springboard cutter. He gets super high up there and hits the springboard cutter. He gets super airborne. And then after the match, Javon and Trick have a stare down, but Obafemi pops up on the little platform balcony area, and they have kind of a three-way stare down. So I don't know if they're going to do a unification match or a triple threat unification match, or if it's just going to be, for the NXT championship, but it seems like they're headed towards some kind of triple threat between these guys. We then get a sit-down interview with Miles Bourne. He talks about his health issues as a child, which led to him losing 90% of his hearing. Communication isn't easy for him, but he knows how to read lips and use nonverbal cues. And now he is blocking out people like Lexis King, whether they're talking to him or not, or talking about him. We then get Ava's assistants in the back, obviously Stevie Turner and Mr. Stone. They update her on Ricky Saints and Jordan Grace's health issues. Lexis King then comes in to call Miles Bourne a phony, and Ava makes the match between the two for next week. Nia Jax then interrupts Fatal Influence's interview and says that that's what Lash Legend gets. She messes with the most dominant force in WWE, and she says Lash just doesn't measure up to her. We then get Ethan Page defeating Santino Marella via pinfall, following the Twisted Grin to retain his North American Championship. And then we cut to one more scene before we get out of here on NXT. Tony D'Angelo is dining in his restaurant, and he tells the server to just call him Tony and not the Don. But then we see a shadow kind of loom over him. He seems kind of worried, but we don't kind of see what happens after that. So we might have a new character or somebody from Tony's past coming back, but they seem to either kidnap him or attack him kind of to end the show. So we'll see what that kind of ends up being on this week's NXT. But Javon versus Wes Lee was absolutely incredible match. I would definitely go on my way to check that one out, but that would be match of the night for NXT. We then go to Dynamite. We open with the Young Bucks defeating the Outrunners when they hit the TK driver on Truth Magnum. After the match, they continue to beat him down, with Okada coming out to help the Bucks. Swerve then comes out to kind of even things up and runs off the Bucks and Okada to end the segment. Mark Briscoe then says he is ready for MJF, but Ricochet and the Gates of Agony interrupt to warn him about Mark Briscoe and Ricochet's match later on. But Briscoe doesn't seem too worried about Ricochet and wants to more focus on MJF. MJF then comes in and is trying to get into the Hurt Syndicate's locker room. Shelton, he tries to talk to Shelton about how things went bad last week. Shelton cuts him off, though, and says MVP isn't here because he's disgusted with MJF. He holds up the watch that MJF gave him and reveals that he knows it's a fake. MJF is out of the team, and Benjamin shuts the door in his face. We then get Christian Cage. He comes out to the ring to cut a promo, says that he is an asshole and he doesn't care who is left in his wake because he is obsessed with being the world champion. Earlier this year, he was this close to winning the world title, but he thought of his past for a second, and he became an asshole with feelings. As for the rest of the patriarchy, he has spent more time on rental cars to make towns than they have made in their entire careers. He changes the plan because he didn't think they could pull it off. That brings him to Cope, who didn't like what Cage told him to do. Cope has done some unsavory things to get to the top. So as different as they are still the same. As for the patriarchy, he has clawed out of holes before, none as deep as the last time he was with Mother Wayne. And Nick Wayne has more talent than he has ever had. But Nick called himself the new face of AEW, which is going too far. Nick has to go through Christian to reach that point, and he disowns all of them. The patriarchy, now known as the matriarchy, come in and take out Christian and give him a concerto. Nick says he disowns Christian, and Shivani thinks the concerto is not good for the rest of Christian's career, who's had a history with concussion issues. So pretty goofy line there by Tony. We then cut to Stokely Hathaway. He doesn't like Cope or the Hurt Syndicate and says FTR is ready for the Bang Bang Gang tomorrow night. The Young Bucks come in for a stare down, and they kind of scare off Stokely Hathaway. Hangman Page then defeats Jon Moxley in an all-in rematch via pinfall following the buckshot lariat, despite constant interference by the Death Riders. Also, despite the fact that the rules clearly stated that no one could interfere, but all of them end up kind of at the ring and slide Moxley the belt, but Hangman kind of overcomes it all. We then get video for Dustin Rhodes versus Kyle Fletcher. That's going to happen on Collision. We then get Athena and Billy Starks defeating Toni Storm and Alex Windsor when Athena hits the O-face on Toni Storm. So Athena actually getting a pinfall victory over the champ. MJF then interrupts Hangman Page and mocks the idea of him being the main character. MJF remembers the day of us having a real world champion like Swerve Strickland. Page wants MJF to beat Mark Briscoe first, and then they kind of have a stare down to end the show. So he kind of wants him to prove himself before they face each other for the World Championship. Willow Nightingale then says she's not impressed with the Triangle of Madness because she is the trapezoid of Grapazoid, I think is how she said it. She's gotten a match with Tekla tomorrow and will pull off however many legs that she has. Obviously, her deal is being like a spider. So she's going to rip her legs off like a spider. We then get Mark Briscoe defeating Ricochet in our main event via pinfall following a Jay Driller. After the match, Briscoe says MJF is making him wonder if he'll ever see Jay again. Briscoe knows Jay is up in his mansion in the sky, but if Briscoe does what he wants to do to MJF and doesn't repent, he won't be around Jay ever again. He wants MJF out here right now, so MJF pops up on the screen to say the match is on for next week. MJF then pops up in the ring for a low blow and yells about Hangman Page a little bit, who comes out and eventually runs MJF off to end the show. Hangman and Mox was always probably going to be match of the night if it happened, and it did. So I think that definitely took the cake and was a rematch of a great match from All In. So no surprises there. But we'll go to Collision from there. We start pretty quickly with the Death Riders coming out, jumping security guards. Moxley talks about how the team has been attacked by Darby Allin over the last few weeks and months and wants him out here right now. Darby Allin kind of shows up in the crowd, but then he kind of starts to run through the arena, and the Death Riders end up following him. We then get Brodito, which is Brody King and Bandito, defeating the Gates of Agony when Bandito hits the 450 splash on Bishop Khan. This advances them in the Tag Team Eliminator Tournament to a semifinal match with the Young Bucks. We then get Don Callis with Lance Archer. He is ready for Kyle Fletcher to win the TNT title tonight. That gives them the power and the titles, but then Shane Taylor from Shane Taylor Promotion comes in to kind of protest them. Archer and Taylor then seem like they're about to fight, but Callis seems to have an idea to kind of take Archer away. So we then go to the Paragon of O'Reilly and Strong, and they're upset about the loss of their buddy Adam Cole, but they say anytime the conglomeration needs them around, they will gladly help them out and be with the group and kind of give them a pep talk of all the things they have coming up and stuff like that. So we then get the Death Riders. They're continuing to look for Darby Allin, but Darby Allin ends up kind of jumping Jon Moxley from behind and puts like a I guess, a towel that has like ether or chloroform on it or something like that over Moxley's face to kind of knock him out a little bit. We then go back to the ring, and Chris Statlander defeats Lena Cross via submission with a triangle armbar. After the match, Chris Statlander poses, but Willow kind of nonchalantly comes out for her match, and they kind of pass each other, but they don't seem to have too much issue with each other. We then get Tekla defeating Willow Nightingale via pinfall following a stomp. After the match, the Triangle of Madness beat Nightingale down with Penelope Ford coming in to join the fun, as well as Megan Bain. She loads up her Liger Bomb that she's been doing, but Queen Aminata with a chair comes out, and Tay Mello and Anna Jay also come out with chairs and run the heels off. We then get Billy Gunn. He isn't sure what happened with Anthony Bowens last week when Bowens comes in to interrupt him. Bowens says Gunn hasn't contacted him since last week and yells a bunch of stuff at him. And Billy then says he doesn't even know who Bowens is anymore. So we'll see if they end up having a match or just this is kind of the end of their relationship period. But we'll kind of see what happens from there. We then get Swerve Strickland. He cutting a promo kind of in a video. He's talking about taking everything away from the Young Bucks. The Bucks are still trying to abuse their power. Are still trying to abuse their power. They have, and Swerve isn't going to let that happen. So any power they do have left, he's not going to let them abuse. He's going to be there to stop Kazuchika Okada too, whenever Okada does something dastardly. Don Callis and Okada don't think much of Swerve or Prince Nana for that matter. Okada is willing to face Strickland at Forbidden Door, and the match is set for the new Unified Championship that he won at All In against Kenny Omega. We then get FTR defeating the Bang Bang Gang when Cash Wheeler scores a cheap shot on Austin Gunn, and this allows Dax Harwood to roll him up for the 3, and this advances FTR to the finals of the Tag Team Eliminator Tournament. So it'll either be FTR versus the Bucks or FTR versus Brodito. So we'll see kind of who ends up getting on the other side of it, and that semifinal will be on Dynamite coming up this week. We then get another segment from Taz called Technique by Taz. They've had a couple of these in the past, but it kind of focuses on a move and kind of the techniques of it all. And this one looks at Athena's O-Face move that she's been winning a lot of matches with. We then cut back to Athena. She brags about pinning Toni Storm last night and is ready to sign the contract for her title match. And it is going to take place at Forbidden Door. So we'll get Athena versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World title at Forbidden Door. We then get Max Caster. He tosses out his 5-minute open challenge as per usual. Throws some insults at his old buddy Anthony Bowens for kind of how last week went. Roosh is the one who answered the 5-minute challenge this week. And to mine and everybody else's surprise, Caster actually survives the 5 minutes and actually wins the match via actually lasting the time limit. Roosh kind of was nonchalant about it, didn't seem really to care too much. He really just wanted to beat down Caster, which he did. And then after the match, but he kind of lost track of time or didn't pay attention to the time. So Caster actually technically wins. After the match, though, Roosh gives him the horns, and the rest of La Facción Ingobernables comes out and beats him down. And then Jet Speed and AR Fox come in to make the save. Caster's kind of left on the mat. And he ends up raising his hand like as he's kind of knocked out, but showing that he is in fact the winner. We then get Mercedes Moné, a video of her showing that she won another another women's world title, and she will be back next week. So she's added another belt to her collection. So we'll see what she kind of has to say next week when she comes back. We then get Skyflight, which is Scorpio Sky and Top Flight. They defeat Shane Taylor Promotions when Scorpio Sky hits a TKO on Carly Bravo. We then get Darby Allin. He tries to dump John Moxley out of a fire escape, but security does their job and actually breaks it up for once. And then we get our main event where Kyle Fletcher defeats Dustin Rhodes in an absolutely brutal Chicago street fight, finishing things off with a brainbuster, and this makes Kyle Fletcher the new TNT champion. After the match, Fletcher smashes a chair over Rhodes' knee against the ring post, leaving Rhodes to get taken out on a stretcher. And that was an absolute banger. Really awesome match. If I'd still ranked all the TV matches, this would absolutely be number one. Definitely go out of your way to check it out because it was really, really good. and is one of the better TV matches that you'll probably see. And I won't say ever, but it was really, really good. Definitely go check it out. We'll move on from there to Impact. We open with Leon Slater defeating Jason Hotch and Cedric Alexander when he hits the Swanton 450 on Hotch. After the match, Alexander and Slater have a bit of a stare down, implying that maybe they'll have a one-on-one match somewhere down the road. We then get Masha Slamovich saying she's ready to get her Knockouts World Championship back from JC Jane. We then have Cedric Alexander come up to Leon Slater in the backstage area and again kind of tease a singles match between the two in the future. We then get Indy Hartwell and Danny Luna defeating Jody Threat and Ariana Grace when Luna hits the lunar landing on Jody Threat, her old tag team partner. Jake Something wants the International Championship. Steve Macklin comes in and they have a bit of a stare down again, implying that maybe they'll have a match somewhere down the line. We then get the Rascals, which is still Myron Reed and Zachary Wentz, as Trey Miguel's still out. They defeat the Nemeths when Wentz hits the spiral tap on Ryan. After the match, the Nemeths grab the mic and say they didn't get pinned to lose their titles, so they want their rematch. Ryan mocks Rhode Island, and that brings out the hometown man, who says, these people are beautiful. The Nemeths then say that he's really, and the hometown man kind of turns it into his theme song, kind of sings over what they're about to say. They kind of brawl with him a little bit, and they end up ripping his mask off, but security, of course, comes in and covers his face with a towel to not show that he is, in fact, Cody Deaner. And then eventually, of course, the Rascals come in after all this has happened and kind of run the Nemeths off. We then get Frankie Kazarian. He is tired of the lack of respect around here and wants to talk to the company president, Carlos Silva, about his position in the company. We then get Mike Santana. He comes out, cut a promo. He stands in the crowd, says that with everyone watching, he lost at Slammiversary. He has lost before, and it makes him fight even harder. Santana walks to the ring and talks about seeing his daughter crying after his loss. As upset as he was, he had to be a dad and tell her it would be okay. And then he says, mark his words, he will be world champion. We then get Masha Slamovich. She actually defeats JC Jane, but it's via DQ when Ash by Elegance, who's the number one contender, comes in and attacks Masha. Then the rest of the Elegant brand comes in and kind of gets into it with Fatal Influence, bringing out Lei Ying Lee and Xia Brookside to kind of come help Masha out and clear the ring. We then get Casey Navarro. He is still injured from the brutal ladder match that they had at Slammiversary, and AJ Francis is not happy that he is still hurting really badly. We then get Ash by Elegance and Masha Slamovich having to be held apart backstage. Santino gives Ash a Knockouts title shot next week, and then the winner will be defending against Slamovich. I believe he says that Emergence. I'm not quite sure, but that's the next kind of main event or big event that they have is Emergence coming up soon. So, and then Santino actually says the line that these women drive him crazy. So pretty good line there from Santino. We then get video on Mara Shade. I was corrected, and I made sure I paid attention to how it was pronounced this time. But Mara Shade, the former Jakara Jackson, has a little video promo about her, talks about her athletic background and wanting to mix it up whilst also looking fabulous. We then get Order 4 out for their victory rally. Mustafa Ali complains about outsiders coming here to take their titles. Now it is time to change. He introduces the new monster security guard as Agent Zero that he has in his crew. But the fans do not want to see Ali as the world champion. Ali makes the mistake of insulting Joe Hendry, who is immediately there to interrupt him. Hendry mentions Ali having a secret service, but there are no secrets around here. This includes some footage of John Skyler, whose face is shown on a Wrestling Buddy. Skyler ate pizza, bought a Joe Hendry shirt, and used a Mustafa Ali shirt to clean himself off. Ali versus Hendry is then set for next week, so they can have a match, which I can only imagine ends up with Hendry taking another L. So we'll see where that kind of takes, but we'll see if Ali can get the win over him. We then get a victory. We then get an interview from earlier this week where Sami Callihan talks to Tom Hannafin. He is asked about his future. Callahan says Moose was right when he said Callahan wasn't the man he once used to be or once was. Callahan needs to prove himself, so he wants a match with Mike Santana. if he can't win there, he might be done for good and he might have to retire. He actually kind of talks about some that he's helped produce in the backstage a little bit too. So he's been working a little bit backstage too. So I think he is, whether this is like him quasi retiring through this storyline or whatever, he may kind of hanging up and kind of take more of a backstage role on, because he's been wrestling for a long time. So and he's put his body through a lot. So we'll see. I think him and Santana could have a pretty good match. So we'll see how that kind of ends up working out. But he definitely talked about kind of, he kind of implied that maybe he retires if he doesn't win, but he also has taken a little bit more of a backstage role on recently. So we'll see what kind of happens with that. We then get the System represented by Moose and Eddie Edwards defeating Trick Williams and AJ Francis when Navarro accidentally hits Trick with his crutch, allowing for Moose to hit the spear for the win. So Moose actually pins the TNA World Champion. And then after the show, somewhere along the way, they announce that Moose will challenge Trick at Emergence for the world title with this victory, obviously having pinned him in a match. But the main event was the best match. Not too much in the way of good wrestling on this one. The Rascals in the Nimbus was pretty good as well, and the opening X Division match was all right, but not a banner in ring night by any means. But nothing was all out bad, but nothing was really that great either. We'll go to SmackDown. We get John Cena to start things out. Before you can say anything, though, Cody Rhodes interrupts. Cena says that he told Rhodes he was exhausted and a match at SummerSlam would be too much. Then Rhodes forged Cena's signature to a match that is one of the most dangerous in the company at SummerSlam for the most important prize in WWE. Cena actually thanks Rhodes for giving him the motivation that he needed. The reality is that Cena threw everything away after 20 years of hard work for the sake of a shock. Cena wants to walk away as champion after his last match so people won't forget about him. He realizes how stupid he was, how he acted previously over the last few months, and Rhodes forced him to face it and fight. If Cena doesn't show up for War, he shouldn't show up at all. The fans seem super pleased by the fact that Cena's seemingly had a huge change of attitude. And he says the only platinum rapper coming after Rhodes this Sunday is himself. Rhodes then takes his, he kind of has a track jacket on. He takes it off. And welcomes Cena back and offers him a real American beer, and they kind of cheers to end the segment. We then go to earlier today where Logan Paul interrupts Jelly Roll's training session, and him and Drew kind of beat Jelly Roll down and leave him laying. We then get Julia defeating Zelina Vega via pinfall following the Northern Lights bomb to retain her U.S. Women's Championship. We then get Solo Sikoa and his MFTs. They're ready for Jacob Fatu at SummerSlam, and they have plans for tonight as a bonus. We then get Los Garzas defending their AAA Tag Team Championships successfully against Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown when Angel and Berto catch Psycho Clown with the NTY. We then get Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. They say they will address Jelly Roll later tonight, kind of promo later on in the show. We then get video on the tag team title TLC match that we'll have this weekend, and kind of shows a feature on each team as they kind of go throughout. We then get Damian Priest defeating Aleister Black via DQ when they kind of battle to the outside, and Black ends up throwing a chair at Priest's head, and this gets him DQ'd. After the match, he beats him down with the chair some more, and then follows it with a black mass and leaves Priest laying on the ground on the outside of the ring. So they're obviously not done with each other. It was a solid match, but I'm interested to see them kind of run it back, in the next month or so, weeks or so. So definitely looking forward to that one. We then get Jade Cargill running into Tiffany Stratton, tells her that she didn't need help last week, but now there will be no distractions at SummerSlam. We then get Tala Tonga defeating Jimmy Uso via pinfall following a chokeslam. After the match, the MFTs run in to continue the beatdown as the cage is lowered, but Jacob Fatu makes it just in time for the cage to, it was just enough open to where he could slide in, and he cleans house as Solo and Tonga end up escaping. We then get Charlotte and Alexa Bliss begrudgingly admitting that they are getting along lately, but they still do not want to use the F word, obviously meaning friends. And then Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul come out to close the show with a promo. Paul talks about how they are here to defend this place from outsiders like Jelly Roll. They think Jelly Roll needs to consult Weight Watchers, but here is Jelly Roll and Randy Orton arriving at the arena in a car. The brawl quickly happens when they get out to the arena, and security breaks it up. Orton RKO's a couple of the guys, and Jelly finishes the show by choke slamming a third as we kind of fade to black after that. Julia and Zelina Vega was a lot better than I was expecting it to be, so that was definitely a match of the night for me. Not much in the way of matches on this one. Really final push to kind of get to SummerSlam. The opening segment took up a lot of time, so but a good show nonetheless. We then go to SummerSlam night one. We open with God Bless America from an artist named Breland. We then get a video package narrated by Drewski and Undertaker for a little bit. And then Cardi B comes out to the ring and kind of welcomes us to the show to open things up. We then open the proceedings with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso defeating Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed when Jey hits a spear and Uso splash on Bronson Reed. We then get Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss defeating Judgment Day, represented by Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, when Alexa hits the Sister Abigail DDT on Roxanne, and Charlotte and Alexa are your new women's tag team champions. We then get Sami Zayn defeating Karrion Kross via pinfall following the Haluva kick. So hopefully that rivalry's over, because that one's gotten pretty bland over the last month or so. But hopefully Sami can move on to bigger and better things, and maybe even Kross can as well. We then get Tiffany Stratton retaining her women's WWE Women's Championship against Jade Cargill. She actually starts things off by reversing a top rope Jaded attempt, and once Jade's kind of down, she hits the PME and gets the pinfall. We then get Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul defeating Randy Orton and Jelly Roll when Drew claymores a downed Jelly Roll, and then Logan hits the frog splash to get the win. So kind of surprised Jelly Roll and Orton didn't win here, but I don't mind it. I'm okay with. I'm glad that Jelly Roll understood that he's not going to be around super long, and him taking the pinfall off of two guys that are. Logan may not be around as much as Drew is, but Drew could definitely have used a big win on a stage like this. So definitely not a bad booking decision. We then get CM Punk defeating Gunther via pinfall following a pair of GTSs to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. After the match, Punk celebrates his win, and here comes Seth Rollins. Rollins comes out on crutches, has a knee brace on, seems to be limping pretty badly. Rollins then seems to go to leave, but stops, drops the crutches, turns around, takes the brace off, and then charges to the ring with his briefcase. He beats Punk down with the briefcase, and then he hands his briefcase to the ref. The ref takes it to the announcer, and it is cash-in time. And Seth Rollins defeats CM Punk via pinfall following the stomp to, again, have a new World Heavyweight Champion. And then him and the Bronze and Paul Heyman pose to end the show. So, again, I think they, again, called it the heist of the century. That's kind of what they called it when he did it at WrestleMania all those years ago. But, we have two new World Heavyweight Champions. Punk wins it from Gunther, obviously. Gunther has some issue with his nose. I don't know if it's broken or if it's just, he's having trouble breathing or something like that. But he is going to be out for a little bit, getting a procedure done on that from what I read. And obviously this just continues the Punk Rollins rivalry, and we'll see where that continues to kind of bleed into going forward. So, but Rollins comes out of the show, your new World Heavyweight Champion, and the injury was a complete ruse this whole time. I told my friend Lewis that I don't know that the injury is necessarily not real. I just don't think it ended up being as bad as they may have originally thought it was. I think Rollins has admitted in interviews and stuff like that over the years, he fights through a lot of injuries. And I think for him to have surgery on something like that, it would take it just exploding. Like when he blew out his ACL all those years ago, he obviously had to have surgery on that. But I'm saying, I don't think he's going to go out unless something like that happens, unless he absolutely can't walk or his back is so shot that he can't just function, or, something that is going to really debilitate him um, from doing his job. I don't think he's going to go out. So I don't think there's necessarily not an injury. I just don't think it's bad enough for him to not want to kind of perform through it. So, and he may not wrestle all that much going forward. He may be more of like the leader of this group as world champion, and he'll have his title matches at, big Raws, and obviously like Clash in Paris and other PLEs going forward. But I don't necessarily think the injury is fake per se, but it just wasn't as bad as originally thought. Which means to me that it's not a torn ACL. But we'll move from there to SummerSlam Night 2. I thought Punk and Gunther was the best best match of Night 1. I don't think there was particularly too much bad on Night 1, other than maybe Zayn and Cross, but Cross is just boring. Stratton and Cargill was at least short. I won't say it was great or anything like that, but I thought the 2 tags and the main event were both really good, and the cash in was really well done as well. But again, we'll go to SummerSlam Night 2. We get Naomi defeating Rhea Ripley and Io Sky when she does a surprise roll up on Rhea after Rhea had hit a avalanche riptide on Io. So Naomi retains their championship. They then show the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys before we get to our TLC tag team title match, where the Wyatt Six defeat the Street Profits, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, Andrade and Phoenix, and DIY to retain their WWE Tag Team Championships in a brutal TLC match. I told some of my friends, so many unnecessary bumps taken in that one. It was awesome to watch, but I think we had maybe quite a few career shortened within this match. So, but they went all out. I thought it was really well done. All things considered, the first 2 matches of this show were really, really good, and would have probably been match of the night on any other card. But we'll kind of get through the rest of the show, and I'll tell you what I thought the match of the night was. But we then move on to Becky Lynch defeating Lyra Valkyria via pinfall, following an errant forearm from Bayley, who had come out and interfered. But she hits a forearm on Lyra, and then Becky was able to follow that with the manhandle slam to retain her Intercontinental Championship. We then get Solo Sikoa defeating Jacob Fatu in a cage match by escaping the door after constant interference from the MFTs. After the match, Jimmy Uso comes out for backup for Jacob and goes after Tongaloa and JC Mateo. They're then thrown inside the cage, and Fatu takes them both down, and then he does a moonsault from the top of the cage to take them down once again. And it was just an absolutely awesome spot from Fatu to kind of end that, but really kind of crappy match. I understand Solo probably, better as a heel kind of going forward with the championship, but Jacob's a guy that a lot of people like. And if he's not going to be the U.S. champion, I think he should probably kind of surge into that spot where he could kind of start challenging for Cody's championship going forward after this. So we'll see where he kind of goes from here. But I have a feeling this rivalry is going to continue, and I'm not sure that's something that I want to see happen. So, but we will go to our Intercontinental title match where Dom Mysterio defeats AJ Styles via pinfall following a boot shot and a frog splash. So he had been in the calf crusher, but before that he had unzipped his boot. So in a kind of an homage to Eddie Guerrero, he had a loose boot, and Styles, of course, rips it off, and then he uses it as a weapon. So Dom paying homage to either his real dad or his not so real dad. And they kind of paid some homage to the 20th anniversary of Ray and Eddie's ladder match at SummerSlam 05 with the gear that they wore. So I thought that was a really cool touch, but paid a little bit more of a tribute with the boot thing to end the match. So good stuff there. And then Cody Rhodes defeats John Cena via pinfall, falling Crossroads to become the new WWE champion. After the match, Cena hands Rhodes the WWE championship and says something to him. Obviously, kind of whispers it so you can't hear it. But it means a lot. It seems to mean a lot to Rhodes because he kind of almost whelps up a little bit. But then Cody Rhodes leaves, kind of goes to the back. Cena soaks in the thank you Cena chants. Out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar makes his return, comes down, looks menacing. Cena kind of looks like he's seen a ghost. And then Brock gets in the ring, F5s him, leaves him laying, and that ends the show. So definitely didn't see Brock Lesnar coming back at this point. With all the legality and stuff going on with his situation. But I think I read somewhere earlier today that he may have been cleared of some of that stuff, but I don't want to dive into all that. But I'm okay with Brock coming back. I don't like him as a human being. I never really have. But he's a fine performer. I like kind of watching him chuck people around. I would say as long as he stays out of the title picture, which I'm sure he won't, but as long as he stays out of the title picture, I'm okay with this comeback. If he starts getting involved with the getting title shots and being in title matches at WrestleMania and winning the WWE or World Heavyweight title, that's probably where I draw the line. But if he's coming back to have, a match with Cena on his way out and maybe another match with Punk, who he had a great match with back in the day, I'm okay with that. If he comes in and, has matches with kind of up and coming stars that he can put over, I'm okay with that. But if he starts winning belts and, getting real involved in the title picture, I'm kind of out on it, because I was super out on the era where he did that a lot anyway. So, but yeah, like I said earlier, I could have chosen 2 or 3 matches for match of the night on this SummerSlam night too, but I'm going to go with Rhodes and Cena. I thought that they blew their WrestleMania match completely out of the water. I don't even think it was close. Like, I think the SummerSlam match was like at least 50 times better than the Mania match. So I thought they did really well. It was a little long. I could see people maybe complaining about something like that, but like I said, the opener and the TLC match definitely could have been match of the night. I'm going to go with the main event just because I thought it was really well done. And even the post match was a pretty good shock and moment. So we'll see what kind of happens with Brock going forward. I obviously think he'll face Cena maybe in Paris. I'd kind of like to see him in War Games. We'll see what the War Games kind of ends up being. I have a feeling it'll be Rollins group with maybe a couple other guys, maybe Brock against some faces that are across SmackDown and Raw. So. But thank you for joining me as always. A really jam-packed week. Some really awesome SummerSlam stuff. So thank you for joining me as always, and we will see you next week.